Hi everyone, so I wanted to show you an altered book I started making. So first of all, I cut a hollow in all the pages so that there's a empty hollow space inside the book, and then glued all the pages together, and then I coated the whole book in tissue paper and PVA glue, and I did 2 layers of that. I didn't record that bit because it took ages, and all it is me just cutting pages with a craft knife. Basically, you just cut big rectangles out the centre of the pages and then stick all the pages together. Then the next step is to take some foil and roll it up and use this to create the shape of the tree and the roots. So as you can see here, I'm rolling up the large strips of foil and I'm placing it where I want the roots of the trees to be sticking out, and also to help define the shape of the tree. And what you do is, once you've got it the shape you want, you glue it all down and just do a strip at a time and use that to create your tree shape. It does take a while and it takes a fair bit of foil. I just got a little bit left in a box, and you'll see afterwards I switched to using rolled up paper to do it. So I'm just scrunching it up and placing it on the book where I want it. And then I made sure I've got some roots for the tree sticking out from the bottom of the book and expanding out. My idea is it's going to have like a little scene inside the book, like a little miniature scene. And the idea is this is a book that's been abandoned in the forest, and it's starting to turn back into a tree because a tree's trying to grow through it and growing into it, so it's slowly but surely turning back into a tree. That's the idea behind this anyway. So I'm just creating the tree shape, like I said, using sections of foil like this. And I like to put bends and twists in them because when I create a tree in this method, I like it to be kind of twisty and gnarly looking. I don't like it to be like, obviously a tree's not perfectly smooth anyway, but I don't do like a perfectly neat trunk that you see on some trees. I like it really gnarly and twisted and bumpy. So that's what I'm going for here with the foil. And you'll see later on I'll add some branches and stuff as well. And all I did to add the branches is just twist up some paper, wrap it in masking tape, and then attached it to the tops of those little pieces you can see sticking up there to create branches. You could use sticks from the garden to add to it to create branches to add more detail, but I just used the paper. So as you can see here, I've switched to using paper because I've run out of foil. And it's a bit more awkward, but it's alright once it's all covered in tissue paper. And I'm starting to create branches and things to make it look like they're sort of twisting and overlapping the book and sort of going through the book. Also make sure that you use, after you've got the basic shape of your tree done, that you used some more scrunched up paper and masking tape to fill in any gaps between the pieces that you added. So all those strips of foil, basically you want to fill all the gaps in. You can leave some little gaps for like little holes in and hollows in the tree, but try and fill in the rest. And then once you have created your tree shape, then what you need to do is coat it in 3 layers of PVA glue and tissue paper, and this will make it nice and strong and make it hold the shape a lot better. And once it's dry, it will look something like this. And as you can see, it's nice and sturdy and stays in place. And then the next step from there is to cover the whole thing in watered down acrylic paint. So you just take some black acrylic paint and do, I think I did 1 part paint, 2 parts water. To start off with, I did 2 parts paint, 1 part water, because you can see it's not quite enough to get it to flow, because obviously it's got to get into all the nooks and crannies and everything, and if the paint's too thick, it just tends to sort of skim the surface and leave loads of little white bits. So I did it more watered down, so it would all sort of drip and ooze into all the little recesses. And then you can always go over it with a second layer of slightly thicker paint later if you want to. But because I'm painting this brown afterwards, this is just to tone down the white. I just used the thin watered down black acrylic paint to cover the whole thing. And I did the book as well as the tree, because obviously, like I said, this book's turning back into a tree. So it's all starting to mingle and blend into each other. Now, at this stage, I'd picked up the wrong brown, which I realised after I've done a coat of it. I picked up burnt umber instead of burnt sienna. Let me have a look. Oh, actually, no. Oh, that's weird. I've just looked at my paint tubes. It turns out one of my burnt umbers is really light and one of my burnt umbers is really dark. So basically, if you get burnt umber, get the one that's the darkest. The one I've used was System 3 acrylic, and it's number 223. I find that's the best colour for tree wood over the top of black paint. The other one I've got, which is, let me have a look. The other one I got, it's System 3 as well, and it is 223, but it's in the larger tube, and I found it's really light. It's weird. It's like a completely different colour. Must be just a mess up at their end. Although I think the smaller tubes are the more expensive ones, I think. Although it's still the System 3. But anyway, you want the really dark burnt umber. That's what you want. And what you do is just put that on over the top of the black, and you don't need to like water it down or anything. And I find that creates the perfect base wood colour for tree trunks. And what I do is paint it all brown. At this stage, I'm not doing that, but I paint it all brown, and then go over it with slightly lighter versions of the burnt umber. And you just mix a bit of white each time to make it lighter. And once you've done that, and you've done about 3 or 4 layers varying the shades, it will look something like this. So as you can see, I've gone round and I've applied the brown all over. Then I've gone over with a couple of different shades, just adding a little bit of white each time, and gone over it like that. Remember, acrylic paint dries slightly darker than the colour you put on, so you do have to allow for that. And then on the book, it's black with just a little bit of brown dry brushing over the top. I wanted the tree to stand out a little bit from the book, and I just went over the whole thing. And as you can see, there's the hollow space inside the book that I've created. So all I've got to do now is create the little miniature world inside and put lighting and stuff. But I'll do that in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.